Hello, my name is Matt Krause. I am the CV doctor in Istanbul, Turkey. The title of this lesson is Use Active Sentences. Don't use passive sentences. Active sentences tell the reader who did something. Passive sentences hide the person. For example, active, I did something. Passive, something was done. Now, in life, there are many times when you will really need a passive sentence, but your CV is not one of them. The CV highlights your achievements. It tells people what you did. It tells people what you contributed to your company. So you're going to need active sentences, not passive sentences. The key to telling the difference between an active and passive sentence on your CV is to take your name and put your name at the front of the sentence. If the sentence still makes sense, it's probably active. For an example, let's look at my CV. Let's go to the Moda Jewels section on my CV. Here's the Moda Jewels section. Look at this. Created website, sourced Turkish suppliers, stabilized shipping costs, grew sales, cut advertising. These are active because they tell you who did those things. When you read it, put Matt in front. For example, Matt created website. Matt sourced Turkish suppliers. Matt stabilized shipping costs. Matt grew sales. Matt cut advertising costs. So that's how you know if something is active or not. Put your name at the front and reread the sentence. If it still makes sense, it's probably active. So, okay, now let's go hunting. Let's look at my CV and find some passive sentences. All right, I read through my CV and I didn't find any sentences that were technically passive. However, I found some that came really close. What do I mean by coming really close to passive? Well, maybe grammatically they weren't technically passive sentences, but they achieve the same thing because a passive sentence hides the actor. And so we're going to take a look at those three examples and I'll show you how to expose the actor. Here we go with the next example. For example, look down under Eddie Bauer and let's go to the fourth bullet point there. See that point on a team with other retail ops finance members? Well, that's kind of passive. I mean, remember, the point of your CV is to tell people what you did, right? So here we have all these great things like developing new ways, being more efficient, keeping more salespeople in the stores. But the CV doesn't tell the reader who did those things. Did I do them or did the team do them? Well, originally I wanted to indicate that this was a coordinated effort, that there were a bunch of us working together on the same project, and I worked well with them. Basically, I wanted to say, Matt plays nicely with others. So here's how we could change that, making it less passive. There are a couple phrases we could use. One is worked with. Another is coordinated, or we could use cooperated, collaborated, partnered. I like the word collaborated, so I'm going to use it here. Collaborated with other retail ops finance members to develop ways. All right. Let's read through the rest of this entry to see what else we need to change. Collaborated with other retail ops finance members to develop ways to make more efficient use of the existing budget money, to maintain as much staffing in the stores as possible, given the shrinking budgets brought on by steep drops in sales. All right, so sounds good for now. Let's look for the next example, example number 2. Look here, under Progressive International, under the Purchasing Supervisor. Actually, I see 2 examples. Let's do the first one. As member of transition team during acquisition of a California-based company, etc., etc., etc. Now, how you start a sentence is important, even if this sentence is not actually passive, because later it does say managed transition. However, it does start out with as a member of a team, which is going to hide what I did. It's going to hide what Matt did. It focuses the reader's mind towards Matt was in a team and away from Matt accomplished something. So how about this? Let's just get rid of as a member of the transition team and start the sentence with during. During acquisition of a California-based company. And by the way, in that next sentence, the sentence beginning with included, this sentence here, in that sentence, let's get rid of the word included. You see, right now the verb is included, which is kind of weak and worthless as a verb, and it forces the other 2 important words, overhaul and transfer. It forces those 2 words, which are important, the overhaul and the transfer, to become nouns. So let's make that sentence more active by removing included, and then turning overhaul and transfer into verbs. We can say overhauled supply chain structure, and transferred finished goods. See, with that change, we used to have 1 weak verb and 2 nouns, but now we have 2 active verbs. All right, let's move on to the next example. This next example is also under Progressive International, Purchasing Supervisor. Look down at bullet point number 3. Bullet point number 3. As member of implementation team installing a new ERP system, etc., etc., etc. See, it's not really passive because it's got, managed the transition, designed better processes, worked extensively. However, this beginning, as member of implementation team, is probably unnecessary. Remember, how you start a sentence is important. If the first thing the reader sees is as a member of a team, he's going to think team. And teams aren't bad. Everyone needs teams. And everyone needs to work well on a team. But this is your CV, and your CV is about your accomplishments. So let's change this sentence. Let's try throughout installation of a new ERP system. And then let's read through it again to see if it still flows well. Throughout installation of a new ERP system, manage the transition for merchandising and purchasing departments. All right, sounds good. That's 3 examples. Good enough for today. All right, so remember, the point of this lesson was to use active sentences, not passive sentences. Use active sentences because they show who took an action, and your CV is about highlighting your actions and your accomplishments. It's about highlighting your contributions. And remember, your CV can always be improved. You can always use these rules. They always apply at all stages in your career. So improve your CV and improve your CV and improve your CV again. My name is Matt Krause. I'm the CV doctor in Istanbul, Turkey. I'm always here to help. Thanks for watching.